Good morning and welcome to Crack the Mic with Agent of Change to Corey Davis. This week's segment is titled What Men Want Part 2. Now, to be clear, women are often reprimanded for being complicated creatures. But the truth is that men can be just as guilty of sending mixed signals to the opposite sex. In fact, a lot of the reasons for why revert back to society's traditional line of thought around masculinity and what's deemed cool, quote unquote, or not. But let's be honest, that's no excuse. So if you've ever wondered what we as men really think and want, here's a sneak peek at what we wish you knew. Firstly, we crave compliments just as much as you women do. Secondly, our honesty is well-intentioned. And lastly, just to name a few, we really want to solve your problems. Now, I have a distinguished panel back for What Men Want Part 2. We have Mr. Keon Payton, a versatile, dynamic, and visionary leader with over 20 years plus experience in education, business, and community-based roles. Serve as Realms Director of Faith Community Outreach. Also a Morehouse and Princeton Theological grad. Also doctoral candidate in strategic leadership at Garrett Evangelical Seminary. He's also the senior pastor at a 96-year-old church with 200 plus members and growing. He also led community outreach and numerous organizations, including Ebony Jet Magazine, Pontiac Promise Zone, Authority, and others. Izell Wallace is a husband, 2 kids, married 5 years, financial planner, and owner of Crown Guard Security Company, LLC. He's also one of the executive producers here with Crack the Mic podcast. Also, we have the illustrious Pastor Keith Moore, senior pastor of Bread of Life Community Church in Miami, Florida. He's been serving there for 11 years, 21 years with 4 kids, 25 years in ministry, and has preached both domestically and internationally for well-known ministers like Noel Jones, just to name a few. Guys, good morning and welcome back to the broadcast.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Okay. All right, let's just delve back into this conversation, What Men Want Part 2. Now, here's the question. For a man, is love the number one reason to marry a woman, or are there important factors to consider? Awkward silence.
Is love enough? I definitely think that there are more factors that need to be considered. Personally, I feel that you need to know a person and take the time to get to know who the other individual is that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Of course, in part 1, we mentioned how people change and evolve over time. But going back to one of the questions about core values, I think when you really know what a person's core values are, when they've been tested and proven, and you really know who they are as an individual, that gives you the opportunity to not only love them, but to be able to love them through the difficult times that life presents all of us. So love is important, but I think you really need to take the time to get to know somebody as well.
I agree.
Yes, absolutely. Well, love is absolutely important. Tina Turner said, "What loves have to do with it? Everything." But marrying someone is not just love based upon the feeling, but God says, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." So there's an action behind that thing. So love help you provide shelter, care, pay attention, all of that. And then I always tell people, not just I hear people say I love you, but do you like the person? And
Right.
so it's very important. Yeah, do you like them? Because everybody say they are God for everybody, but do you really like the person that you're with? So that's a key thing. But when it comes to marriage, there's so many key components. It take counseling to know a person, because how many people we say we loved in high school and college and glad we didn't marry them. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's very important to me to understand that yes, love and good counseling, dating, thinking, conversations, and are you two compatible, for the long term? So
Wow.
that's
Wow.
important.
Powerful. 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 Isaiah, you want to go?
Yes. Uh, there's nothing, wrong with anything that they said. It's just that in my experience, I've been married 5 years and I've been together with the same woman for 10 years. Uh, love is the number one reason that I married her. And it's the thing that I always go back to, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what issues arise, I remember that I love her and I committed, to be loyal to this love.
Okay. Now let me just play the devil's advocate for a moment, because and those are all wonderful answers. But I think Pastor Moore sort of hit on it at the end, talking about compatibility. And there, I look at certain cultures, and it differs from our African American culture tremendously, in so much that we can look at a female, and just because she has the perfect body, and the mind is right, but what we do not look at, compatibility with respect to our economic aspirations. Is that person financially compatible to me? Because that's important. Now, especially, and Pastor Moore, you said this here, and you also alluded to it to Pastor Peyton in part one, that a core value is having that loyalty. Okay, but loyalty is nothing for me if it cannot pay. You can be loyal to me, but if we cannot take care the bills or have a standard of living that I'm accustomed to, and I think it's vice versa, even with women, because if certain women will not marry certain men because they do not cut the mustard with respect to finances. And I think we cannot be ignorant to the fact that compatibility with respect to our economic aspirations and our jobs and just our growth and development with respect to the things we aspire to have in this life. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that a part of compatibility? Having someone who is financially on the level that you are, or at least aspiring to be?
Well, if it's for finances, then you can be stuck like Chuck. And I really mean that, because things can change. Someone get fired. Now, if you get fired from your job, does the love change? It shouldn't change. Me and my wife, when I first got together, and I had an inspiring job coming up. That didn't fall through like I thought. Just finished Bible school and all this stuff. And my wife at that time made more than me. And so what love did, I had to get up, get a job, work, take care of her and the house. At the
Right.
same time, when she got pregnant with the twins, she could not work anymore because her cervix was opened up. So I had to, God bless me and favor me. Well, from that time, I carried the house until now. Now,
Right.
if it was based upon finances, we wouldn't have made it. So
Right.
I'm not, and it's a part of it, because I think love make you work together. So when you love someone, because like when COVID hit, our economic situation changed in a lot of houses.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So does that change the commitment that you made before God and man? Absolutely not. So
Right.
love goes beyond finances, but you will, quote unquote, take care of the person. And God, I believe God will favor you, that you will sustain a house or apartment, wherever you are, that you all will be able to live. But you cannot base love on a financial bracket. But there are people that reach for people that's not in the same financial bracket, which is sometimes foolish. It's like me
Absolutely.
meeting Jennifer Lopez. We're not in the same bracket. So I'm not
Right.
trying to reach for that. You get it? So
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Anybody else want to share in what I just said?
I agree with Pastor Moore in that, marry for love and likability. If you have those two, the financial pieces, you can always, work out. You definitely want to have someone who, is motivated and ambitious and wanting to grow. And as long as you have that type of person with those core values, I think the sky is the limit as it relates to their earning potential. But don't base it just upon those factors, because as he described, life circumstances and situations can change. And so if you build it on the finances and the finances change, then your house of cards will effectively collapse.
Okay. I can dig that. Isaiah, you want to weigh in on it?
Not at this time. They've said everything, that I wanted to say.
Okay, understood. All right. So next question. Are working women more desirable than homemakers? Candidly speaking.
I personally think that homemakers are more sexy.
Yes, sir.
Being one who juggles a lot of different responsibilities. When I come home, my home is my sanctuary. And so to the extent that, you have a partner who can make certain that the home front is what it needs to be, that gives me peace and joy. Now, obviously, I would also want someone who is ambitious and business minded and driven and all those things. Those are wonderful qualities as well. But when it comes down to it, you have to live with somebody, in your more intimate spaces, you want to be able to have peace in that place.
Okay, makes sense.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree with Pastor. I think it's Peyton, if I'm mistaken.
That's correct.
100%. Oh, it's more sexier. When you're talking about a homemaker, which I am blessed person to have a wife that's a dual. She's dual. She's smart, savvy,
Right.
and she's a homemaker. Like my wife can whip something up in the kitchen, man, and bam, and she take care of the home and the kids and everything, but she does her job and everything. But the thing was sexy to me is to see her in her element in the home, because sometimes the fixed up out there, high heels, all that stuff, we fall for that. But I like when the kitchen, the gown is on, I come home, you're my wife. I like you like that. That's you.
Right. Right.
I live down here, everybody's look fake, everything's fake. Lace front, breasts, everything. It's rare to get that homebody wife that's a good woman. And I think it's more sexy. That's my opinion. Like Pastor said, I think it's a plus. And then they're smart, not just, home, not doing nothing, not thinking, because honestly, it takes a woman has a technician mind to run a house.
Oh, yes, indeed, indeed.
Oh, to run a home, man, she had to be brilliant. She had to manage. That's what Joseph did.
Absolutely.
Joseph the dreamer, he was a manager, and
Right.
she can manage well. So yes, I agree.
Isaiah, you want to go?
Yes, I agree with them. Uh, Homemakers are more desirable for me just because I don't want to be a distraction. Uh, if my wife is ambitious, she's a working woman, she has a career, something that she's aspiring to be or to accomplish. I don't want to be a distraction for her, and I would feel guilty, wanting to be loyal to her that when she comes home, I haven't done the house chores or seen after the kids or accomplished the task that she's probably too tired to do. I would feel bad not being able to do both for her.
Okay, that's understandable. That's understandable. Now, let me ask another question, and this is a little bit away from what we were talking about, but because at our age, okay, and I think anytime you reach that 30 plus mark, and not you, Isaiah, so you're a little bit younger than we are, but it's kind of like a needle, trying to find a needle in a haystack to find a female who's without a child. Do you guys feel that it's desirable to have a woman who have kids previously? And then what should be the role that you should play if you were to get involved with her, a woman with a kid or with several kids? It doesn't matter.
Oh, perfect. Can I start this one off?
Absolutely.
When I met my wife, first met her, she had a son. And
Okay.
when I first met, he was 3. When we married, he was 5. I raised him like my own son, and he is my son.
Absolutely.
And that blended family came in. At first, my desire was I never want to marry a woman with a kid because I want to start my own family fresh. And that
Right.
was my desire. But when I met my wife, and the Lord put us together sincerely, even though I made a choice, I accepted her son too. And thank God I came in at an early age. Um, some guys may don't want that, and that's fair game, you know. But the role you play, I didn't come in to take the role as being his biological father. I
Wow,
really
that's
came
important.
in. No, I didn't come in to take that. He respect
That's
his
important.
father. His father was actually locked up. He would go see his father, and I make sure to let him know that's your biological dad. But as time go on, I allow him to build his relation. I never spoke evil of his father. In fact, when he got out, he's a good friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
So I knew my role was to be that father. I got rebuked one time. I got up and, got up in the church and announced. I was, novice. I got up to announce, thank God for my wife and my stepson.
Oh,
And my
wow.
pastor wife, my former pastor wife, caught me out the church and say, "Don't you ever say that again. That's your son."
Right.
From
That's
that
right.
moment, I never called him stepson. And to this day, we love each other, and he gave me a grandson.
Oh,
So
wow.
my
Congratulations.
role, was to be a father to him, a dad to him. And he respects me as a father and a dad because I made him respect his father no matter what. So yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good, Pastor Moore. You want to go in on it, Pastor Peyton?
Oh man, I'm just reflecting on the words of Brother Moore. Man, I think you talk about crack the mic. We can drop the mic on that one.
Oh my. Oh my. Wow. All right. Are there any thoughts you have on that, Mr. Isaiah?
No, I'm in awe as well. My family is a blended family, starting from my grandparents. So seeing all of these different people, having a step parent or having, someone come in and take over that role of being their role model or the person to guide them and nurture them, while still maintaining the connection that they have to their biological parent. That's very inspiring. I really love that.
Absolutely. I can remember, Pastor Moore, as you were stating that, I can remember as a child because my father passed away, and it was my stepfather who actually came in. And when his kids actually came over from Jamaica and my mom brought them in, he made sure that there was no difference. He treated me no different than his biological. He did never use the word stepson, but often it is a big, you gotta, with this newer generation, it's very difficult, I guess, to have blended families, especially when the past have not been really settled with the woman and her previous baby daddy. It becomes very difficult, and it can cause a lot of problems inside of the relationship. So I can understand why a lot of guys steer clear at that. Now, I was one who used to say that too, but by golly, by the time I hit 35, I didn't see many women who did not have kids. So I said that was kind of like, obsolete. They are out there, by the way. Women who do not have kids are out there, but the chances are very slim when you get to a certain age. And I think at my age, I'm at that age where it's kind of difficult to find. But let me ask this next question. Does a woman's past promiscuity have any bearing on her suitability as a wife? Now, we know in the Bible, and I'm no theologian, and I'm glad I have two pastors here to help me with this here. I don't know, I can't recall, but I know it was some man of God who got commissioned to go marry a woman who had rather of a rambunctious past. She had been out there, so to speak, but God told him to go marry her. So does a woman's past promiscuity have any bearing on her suitability as a woman?
I think that it does, but it shouldn't. Particularly not in 2021. I think most men, if we're honest, we would want someone who has not had that promiscuous past, but at the same time, realistically, where sex and sexual expression is so pervasive in our culture today, I think you would be a little naive to think that you will find that the quote unquote chaste woman that we maybe in 2 or 3 decades ago, may have had a little bit more chance of finding. That day, in my opinion, unfortunately, is gone, and there are very, very few persons who are still keeping themselves before marriage these days.
Absolutely, because we're a very sexual fluid society today. Hey, like you say, it's kind of hot. Guys, FYI, if you're listening, you don't listen. I don't even really know why people wear white dresses anymore. Because, like you said, and it goes both ways, Peyton, Pastor Peyton, because we men have what the young folks would say, a lot of body count. We have body count. So I think it's a false expectation of one who have been sexually fluid to expect their significant other not to be. But, I digress. Anybody else want to weigh on it?
Well, Pastor Payton said it well. You're not going to really find that. Now, the question is, are you going to dig in her past?
Wow.
To find out who she been with? Because now the question is, can you handle it?
Oh my!
I think if like, let's say you meet a woman that's a stripper. Now you know her job or escort. You knew who she was.
Absolutely.
So you're going to have to understand she will meet people and see people. Now, if you're the jealous type, I recommend you don't go that route. But the truth is, do you want to dig in it? And so even in counseling, sometimes you dig so far until they can't handle it. And then it's brought up in conversations and arguments. So I think, can you handle it? Then it depends on who she been with. Like if you're in a college, in a fraternity, or
Right,
football,
right.
and she been with the whole team, and then you end up falling in love and marry her. Can you handle that? If you're fine with it and she's not like that anymore, and I believe just as the Lord has forgiven us for our promiscuity and all that, if you can
Right.
do the same thing and handle it, that's fine. But I think the question is, can the individual handle that type of woman? Mhm.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Isaiah, you want to weigh in on it?
Yeah. This question is kind of hitting home personally because I'm a chaste man. I've only slept with my wife, and I wouldn't have it any other way. My expectation was at the beginning maybe to find a woman who was like that, who was like me, who didn't believe in just having sex, just because we could do it, who actually wanted to make a commitment to me. But I kind of had to get rid of that naive perspective and, go after a woman whose heart, you know, wasn't wasn't as promiscuous, as some of the other women that I had knew. I kind of picked what I thought was the best woman that I could ever get, you know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna get Virgin Mary. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And all right, now let's kind of take it here for a moment. And I know because we may have some listeners out there and younger guys, and hopefully that this here podcast is helping the younger generation or any man that's out there that's listening. But let me ask for a moment, if I may. Is it acceptable? Because here's what the Bible said, that how can two walk except they agree? But if I'm dating, let's just say if I'm a newly convert to the faith and I was dating a young lady and she's no longer saved, or quote unquote in the faith, how would one deal with that type of relationship? Should I stop it because she's not a believer, or should I try to convert her? And if she's not willing to do so, should I leave her? Come on, pastors, weigh in.
The question is, really, you can argue the point of, can someone lose their salvation? That's a whole nother theological point. Second is, no, you can't leave her. If the unbeliever, if you marry somebody, you get saved, and both of y'all wasn't converted, and then all of a sudden you get converted, and they decide they don't want to be with you no more, according to Paul, you're not bound to them. No, you're free. And so that's the whole nother case. But if you're with them, you just can't leave because you don't consider them saved or going to church anymore. That's not the ground rules to me personally, from a biblical perspective, that I know of. I can be wrong, that you could just take off and leave. That's a whole nother area of losing salvation and all on that. So you're dealing with a theological argument more so of losing salvation, or are you eternally secure, right? So predestination and all that stuff. So, but I believe,
not necessarily. Am I saying, okay, if a person, I'm saying if he was never saved, let's just say I was never saved, me and my girlfriend, and I just happened to be watching the television and the televangelist was on the television and I had a touch from God and I changed.
right.
But I'm now saved or I'm now on the path to becoming a Christian. And but we've been dating now for, let's say, 5 years, we're courting, and we're in a monogamous relationship, and we're trying to walk the aisle. We set that date. But she has expressed that she doesn't like Christianity. She's a Muslim. Is that something that I should continue in, knowing that down the road it will be a problem? Or is it something I should continue to pursue, or just salve it? Just kind of just kill the relationship altogether.
Yeah. Well, quickly, that's it. Paul addressed that and said, if the unbeliever chooses to stay, let him leave. They're no longer bound to them. They're free.
Okay.
So that's when the freedom comes, because most of the time they depart, or the relationship depart on that particular case.
Right. Good standards. I could agree. Your thoughts on it, Pastor Peyton?
Well, I don't know if this relates too much, but my mind just kind of went to a place in thinking about marriage in the context of really how it's a social construction, more so than a marriage spiritual covenant. And I think that in 2021, where so many people, go to the altar, quote unquote, blindly in love, oftentimes we make these vows, in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, till death do us part, until our partner has done something that we're ready to walk out. And I hear Brother Moore with respect to responsibility being absolved based upon the person who walks out. But it's just rather unfortunate that we're living in a day where spiritual people who make vows at the altar before the Lord, oftentimes, we do allow ourselves to go separate ways without really honoring the spirit of the covenant by which we engage in relationship. And I know that's very old fashioned, it's very conservative, old school kind of views. But I feel that if we're going to be consistent with our theological views, I'm thinking about same-sex marriages. I know there was a time where I used to have issues and problems with same-sex marriages, and just recently I had to come to the realization that if two people choose that they want to be together and have a marriage certificate for the purpose of participating in the social construct of being able to enjoy benefits, or all that comes in with having a marital spouse in the United States of America, that we can't look at the person who's a Christian and just wants to be in a heterosexual marriage, but is in their fifth spouse, and then that same person is one who's judgmental on the LGBTQIA plus person who wants a same-sex partner. So I just think that we don't often take the time to do the reflection and the bringing our spiritual sobriety to the table as it relates to what it really means to be in covenantal relationships.
So let me just be clear, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but so what you're advocating, Pastor Peyton, is for the doctrine of inclusion and love and acceptance. Is that not what you're advocating for?
It's not a point of advocate. Well, I do advocate for allowing people to be themselves. We are all works in progress, and we should have the freedom and space to live our lives as we so choose. God gifts all of us with that personal freedom. And I think that if God is gentlemanlike enough to allow us the space to grow and develop and make mistakes and live those types of lifestyles, I think that we have to be able to be respectful of human freedom and other people to make those similar choices.
Okay, and I couldn't agree with you more, but we can agree to disagree. And so thinking, and because I had Lydia Meredith. She is a professor of rhetoric at Georgia State University. She's an advocate of it too, and I cannot recall. She did actually, her dissertation, a doctoral dissertation, is on how the Bible and its literal translation has sort of disadvantaged the LGBTQ community. And she's an advocate of it, and that's okay. So it's not some type of doctrine that I'm not familiar with. Her husband too, her ex-husband, Bishop Meredith, actually wrote a book. I can't recall the name of the book right now, but he too agreed with the doctrine of inclusion. Who am I to judge? I just cannot find the scriptural basis to support such claim, in my view. And I'm no theologian, again, but that's a whole nother discussion in itself. So I welcome your sentiment. It was well stated, and we could agree to disagree, for the record. You want to weigh in on it, Isaiah?
Which part are you asking me to weigh in on?
The first part of it.
Okay. Well, I personally think that as far as marriage goes, to me, it's more of a spiritual covenant than any social construct. So I definitely disagree, as you did, just on that basis. Just, I feel it's more for God. You don't get married for people to gawk at you and throw rice and to wear a white dress. Whether you're a virgin or not, when you step into those clothes, you're now a virgin, and God is now going to consecrate you and your spouse's flesh together. You're going to be made one. You know what I mean? I think that everything before your marriage is gone, and at that time, you made that covenant with God, you're going to be blessed, and it's going to carry you forward. I don't agree with same-sex marriage, but I also don't agree with anything that suppresses people and denies them basic human rights. So that's a very complex issue to me.
Let the viewers know, Mr. Payton, Keon Payton, how can they get in contact with you? And if there's anything that you would like to know that you have going on that you would like us to know about.
Absolutely. So I'm very excited right now. I am executive producer and director of faith community engagement for Realm Pictures International, and certainly would want to encourage folks to check out the soft launch of the film that we're about to produce called Steal Away, which is a powerful film based on the true events of the Jubilee Singers of Fisk University. So very excited about that, and we have open casting opportunities right now for persons who might be interested in being a part. You can just visit the website at realmpictures.co and check out the script and the information, and looking forward to having that on the big screen.
All right, sounds good. Pastor Keith Moore, how can we reach you, and what should we know about you?
You can reach me at Bird of Life Community Church. Same thing, the Bird of Life Community Church on Facebook, YouTube. We are located in Miami, Florida. Address 616305 Northwest 48th Avenue, Miami Gardens 33014. And so you can catch us at ministry either live, or if you're in the Miami area, South Florida, come by. So right now we're in the process of moving, and within a year or two, so we're in the building process. So our church is kind of in a great place now. So, but you can reach me there and view us there. I have nothing out right now, just family, preaching the gospel, and helping our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Pastor Moore. Mr. Isaiah Wallace, Mr. Wallace, how can we reach you?
You can reach me by email at isiahiwall@aol.com for any security needs in the South Florida region.
Okay. All right. And again, I'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in for both segments, part 1 and part 2 of What Men Want. And I like to leave this thought. A relationship is like a bird with 2 wings. In order for it to work, both partners must be in tandem. We'll leave it there. God bless you. And again, thank you for tuning in to Crack the Mic. Peace.